acknowledgement page. I'll have to fix that.
We'll fix it later. Okay, so hey guys, welcome to another Running Wild and Rise Storytellers Happy Hour. I'm Lisa Kastner. I am here with the phenomenal Teehee Hazlet, and we're gonna basically today go through and well, actually, Teehee's the brilliant one. He's amazing at explaining all this mess. So, you're gonna watch us do what he's about to describe while we drink. Which
Yes.
honestly, it only makes it more interesting because we get more and more ridiculous the more we imbibe.
Yes.
So, all right, it's all you, man.
So, ordinarily, our storytelling happy hour is we pull prompts from our good friends at the Moth. They have a deck of different cards with different themes, and like we tell a story, we have a few minutes to think about it, and then we just improvise. But today is Juneteenth.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
yeah, I figured we should do something about Juneteenth. So
Okay.
I created 3 prompts. We can do more than one, or if any
Okay.
of these come up. So like the first one obviously is like a story about a time that you felt really free and like
Mm,
how you got there. I have no story in my head. I'll have to think about that. Um, Another one was a story about barbecues. When I lived in Texas, before Juneteenth was a national holiday,
mhm.
it was a big barbecue holiday in Texas. So
Okay.
maybe a story about barbecue, or also just in general, because Juneteenth is about it started in Texas. It was when, like, after the Emancipation Proclamation, some Union Army folks showed up in Galveston to let
Mm,
folks know that they were free,
mhm, mhm.
and they had been free for months. And the last vestiges of slavery were still in Texas, and those landowners purposely concealed the fact that they had been freed.
Yeah.
Um, so also just a story about Texas.
Okay. Man, they're all hard.
Yeah, they're a little difficult. They're a little difficult.
Yeah.
Trying to
Um,
hmm, a story about a time that I felt really free. Sad that I don't have something off the top of my head. Damn.
I don't really I don't really have a story where I've ever felt really free. It's more like I felt accepted, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I mean to give people background because they're probably like, "What the hell?" Um, so like I grew up in Camden, New Jersey, which at the time was one of the more dangerous cities in America. I was one of the few white kids. And I was a total nerd, so I couldn't use contractions or conjugations or not conjugations, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, and I was not allowed to have an accent. Um, and but what's interesting was I didn't fit in my neighborhood because of how I looked. But then when I would go outside, and how I spoke, right, and like how I presented myself, everyone assumed I was from like a rich area in New Jersey. And when I went outside of Camden, specifically East Camden, um, I I wasn't accepted because and now Teehee, you may understand what I'm about to say, but I think a lot of people they'll be like, "What the fuck is she talking about?" Um, the way that you present yourself and the social norms in the inner city is drastically different than when you are in a more upper class area. And so for me, like I went to a private high school. I was lucky enough to get a scholarship, all that kind of stuff. That was one of the most painful experiences of my life, emotionally, because, um, I was in the school, graduating class of 29, so teensy, and people would interact with me with the expectation that I was going to behave and understand certain things that were social norms that I had no idea what they were talking about. And so like they would get angry with me because it was like, well, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you not doing blah? Or why are you not responding this way? Like we all have, like when we're interacting with people, you all come to the table with preconceived ideas of how they're going to interact with you and what their responses are going to be. And because I didn't behave the way that was anticipated, especially adults oftentimes would get like literally angry with me, or more so frustrated. I'd say frustrated because I looked and I spoke the way that they expected an upper class female uh to behave and act, but yet I didn't know what the hell these people were talking about because I didn't grow up in that society. Does this make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and and for me it also became that lack of acceptance, so not really fitting in either world. um I was even more aware of it because my best friend was biracial, and so her mom was white, her dad was black. And when we would go places, I would see how people would interact with her versus how they would interact with me. And like I would literally ask my parents, like, well, why are they treating her this way? Like, why are they treating her like an object? And they're speaking to me like I'm an adult, and I'm like 10 years old and she's like 8.5. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. And the adult, like our parents, they didn't know how to. I don't know if they actually noticed it themselves, but they didn't know how to explain it. They were like, I have no idea, right? So I've been very aware from a very young age of that social discrepancy across like multiple ethnicities. You know what I mean? Or
Mm,
anyone who's not considered normal, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Um, and it also forced me to become a chameleon as I grew older, because it was like, like if anyone meets me on the street now, uh, my automatic my Philly street accent, like, how you doing, right? Which, see, right, like that's you'll hear that kind of accent come out from a lot of people who are from more of the inner city, right? Or like certain terminology that's used that you will not hear in more, again, upper class areas. So I learned how to become that chameleon, as I know Heather did as well. Heather was my best friend and we're still like awesome friends, and it's amazing because it's been entirely too many years. But anyway, um so not never feeling not just free, but also never feeling part of an accepted community, I think, is prominent. If that I don't know. I just blathered on. Does this
No,
make
no,
any
that
sense?
totally makes sense. Also, I feel like this is a recurring conversation I've been having in the last week or so of
Mm,
people who like had experiences of being othered at a very young age. And
mm,
like the difference between what that is versus like when someone gets their first experience of being othered when they're older. Cause
mm.
like I didn't have a choice in being othered. I was like very othered, very young. And
I
like so like
bet.
now I kind of like cruise through it. And not to say that
Mhm,
it's easy because it still sucks, but like looking around and noticing like, because down here in Puerto Vallarta, there's lots of older people. So like the thing when like, old people become invisible, like I
mhm.
see that happen to people for the first time in their life.
Yes.
And they're
Oh my
like,
god.
whoa, yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. And it's like, it's funny because it's like mostly these like cis white gay men who are kind of rich so that they can afford to retire down here to Puerto Vallarta. And then they
Mm,
show signs of age and then like have that social thing where they're kind of disappeared. And I'm like,
yeah.
wow, you've never really felt all that othered before until now. Fascinating.
Wow. Yeah.
Because like I felt othered real like kindergarten. like,
But you learned, right? It forced you to learn how to navigate being the other,
hmm
right? I mean,
yeah,
because otherwise you couldn't survive.
exactly. And we all have our like strategies and tactics around it. On like
Mhm.
And I feel like they change over time. Like now I'm an adult, so I'm like, I don't care if somebody thinks my name is weird. I'm like, get over it.
Bite
Like,
me. Yeah.
exactly.
Like, you can suck it. I don't care.
Exactly. But like, that's different when you're like 8, right? Or it's different when you're like a teenager and you're going through puberty and it's all weird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a child, I was much more like I've always been very analytical, like both very creative and very analytical. And for whatever reason, the analytical side of me would always come out. And it was like, well, I don't understand why A doesn't go to B, then goes to C, which equals D. Like, you
Mhm.
adult needs to explain this to me. And every time the adults were either like, someone please make her shut up, right? Or if it was if it was someone in like a teaching or like a professorial capacity, they would find it fascinating that I'm sitting here like, hey, I noticed all these things, and I don't understand why this is true in our society.
Yeah.
And they would get into like an intellectual conversation with me regarding this, and I'm like, 8, 12 years old, um but I would be very hard-headed about it. Like, no, this is how it should be. Like, we should all be
Mhm.
equal. Anyone who treats anyone else as if they're different can fuck off, right? Bing, 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 bing. And honestly, it would just end up either I would end up being alienated, or um you almost create this like group of friends who are tied to one another because we all feel that alienation, that
Mhm.
being othered, to a point where we self-identify, unfortunately, as other.
Mhm.
And the good thing about that is when you're a kid, you now automatically have this like tribe where you would all basically kill for one another, right? Like,
Yeah.
you suddenly have a family that you never had before, and who you can
Yeah.
go to, right? But to your point, then, like, as you get older, you start to realize, like, I got rid of that hard-headedness because I realized, well, this isn't getting me anywhere. It's just getting me into fights or arguments or into trouble. And I don't want that. That's not actually my end goal. My end goal is whatever it is in that whatever that capacity was that I was fulfilling at that time. And so I would adjust. It forced me to learn how to navigate different cultures, not just in the United States, but wherever I was, and within the United States, so that I could then be successful in whatever it was I was trying to accomplish
Yeah.
without being disingenuous.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also thinking about like the whole thing of when I start to self-identify as an other, which like
Mm.
also I think for me happened really young. But like this is crazy. And so I swear I will have an actual story because I've already put it together in my head. But like,
Good, because I don't.
yeah, cool, cool. But this is a total aside that is
Mm,
somewhat related to my story.
mm.
So when I was in Portland, I got to hang out with my best friend Lesson. We've known each other for forever since I was like 18 years old. Um,
Woo!
and he's not a high tech person. So like, I'm showing him like Instagram reels that I think are funny, and then it
Mm.
moves on to like music videos. We both love music videos. And I was showing him the Doja Cat videos where she talks a lot about, or there's lots of imagery around the devil, Satanism, and demons. And
Oh
like,
my.
I love it. I'm like, Doja Cat is in her Satanism. I am a Satanist. Like,
Okay.
I'm like, yes. And I couldn't explain it, but I think you just explained it too, which is like to me, because Doja Cat's also biracial. And I
Mhm.
told Lesson, I was like, I think, but I can't articulate. There's some sort of straight line
Mm.
between being racially ambiguous and racially other to Satanism.
I can
Like,
see that, or the perception of what Satanism is. Right.
yeah, because
Mhm.
it is the ultimate religious wise othering.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I still became a Satanist. I already identified as somebody who was other, and then came to it later. But I
Mhm.
guess so. This is my story
Okay.
about feeling free.
Okay.
So It starts last night. Last night I was at this bar, this like Mexican gay bar,
Okay.
and the owner, who's a good friend of mine, I'm trying to learn more Spanish, right? So I'm always like, oh, I want to talk in Spanish. And the owner and the bartender, he's like, I need to practice my English. So he's like,
Mm.
let's you talk in Spanish for a little bit, and I'll talk in English for a little bit.
Oh,
So I'm
smart.
talking, yeah, it was really fun. So we
Mm-hmm.
start talking, and then we get on the subject of like, what sort of music do you like? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, like this is the accommodating me. I like all kinds of music. I do like all kinds of music. And in
But
Puerto Vallarta, it's very easy to get any bar or restaurant to play the music that you like specifically.
oh,
But
we're
like,
having fun.
yeah.
I'm just
But
saying.
at like the Mexican bars, like I want to learn Spanish language music and I want to learn Mexican music. So
Mm.
they're always like, "Oh, do you want to change it and put something else on?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. I want to like this is a genre of music that I'm not used to, so I want to dive into it. I want to have
Get
my own favorite songs that are in Spanish and stuff like that." So I'm usually
totally.
like, "No, no, 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 no." And then I ask him like, "What sort of music do you like?" And he was like, "Well, of course I like banda and like, mariachi." And he was like, "But I also really like rock
Really?
music."
In 2024, he's into mariachi?
It's
Holy
Mexico.
shit. All right, all right. Okay, okay. I'm just saying, it's just so unusual to hear that anymore. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
It's huge here. Also, mariachi music was originated in Jalisco, which is the state that I live in.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's
okay.
it's everywhere.
All right, got it.
But
Sorry.
he's like, I really like US rock music. And he started naming like the Rolling Stones,
Oh, wow.
Foo Fighters, and then like some of it's rock and some of it's more like alternative and sort of like
Mhm.
pop rock. He named like No Doubt and Fred Durst,
Wow.
which was a period of time, so it's acceptable.
Okay, all right, all
And so
right.
I was like, you should play some of it. And we also like smoked a joint. And he starts playing all this rock music, and the beat gets really heavy, and we start like
Yeah.
jumping up because we're the only people in the bar. And
Oh,
then
sweet.
eventually some people come in, but we're already jamming. And like I remember what it was like to be at the rock show. Oh yeah, we were playing like Blink 182, which like
Yeah.
I liked, but I didn't fully like. I liked a
Yeah.
couple of other people. Like I liked Yellow Card and gosh,
I don't know Yellow Card.
Hoobastank. Yellow
Yep.
Card was like punk rock. Hoobastank was like pop rock, but they were like really heavy outside of their
Yeah,
singles that
yeah.
they were known for.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I know
we're
Hooba
like rock.
Stank.
Yeah, I love Hoobastank.
Yeah.
Incubus, fuck me
Yep.
up. Um, so we're playing all
Totally.
these, and I remembered when I was a senior in high school living in Atlanta. Instead of going to my high school prom, I bought tickets to a music festival, and the
Okay.
headliners were Incubus, Hoobastank, Garbage, No Doubt,
Wow.
Bush, and several other people. And it was all genres because that's also the first time I saw CeeLo before he was canceled. And I saw like a lot of indie acts that I really, really loved and were like fans
Yeah.
of for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember that like sense of like being in the crowd and just like not even dancing because no one dances at the rock show. You're just jumping up and down and you're
Yeah.
like pumping your hands, you're like head banging, and just
Yeah.
like that like total release of like like in my high school at the time I was the weird kid because I was, oh yeah, Lincoln Park. We were also really
Yeah.
big.
Oh, yeah, Lincoln Park. Totally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. Uh, so like when I was in high school in the Atlanta suburbs, it was majority black high school, and I had come from majority white Iowa. So there's a lot of
Oh,
weirdness.
wow. Oh, yeah, totally. Mhm.
But like I loved Lincoln Park. I loved rock music. And I was like, so people looked at me like I was a fucking alien of like, how can you be brown skinned and into
And
like
into
rock?
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was nuts because I was like, one, black people invented rock. Like black people
Yeah,
invented every genre of American music.
pretty
Um,
much. Mhm.
yeah, and I'm like, so like this is also part of our history. And like, I don't know, because I love going to like live music where there's like lots of soul and
Mm.
funk and like R&B, but there's not nothing quite like the rock show. and where
Oh,
you're just
yeah.
before the mosh pit happens, although I do like the mosh pit, but I'm scared of getting hurt.
Yeah,
And especially when
no.
I was younger, I was like, absolutely not. But like when it
Mm-mm.
was just like rowdy and everybody's like yelling and screaming and like, oh my gosh. And I got a little taste of that last night.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, and like the three other Mexicans who were in the bar as like patrons were just like looking at us like we were completely stupid.
Well, you were being stupid, but, like, in a good way, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I was like, fuck it, man. I'm high. I'm drunk. It's Limp
Woo!
Bizkit. It's Lincoln Park. I was like, I'm going nuts.
Totally bring
I'm
it.
going
That's
nuts.
awesome. That is awesome.
So that is my, I guess, freedom story. That's
Got it.
interesting.
Hmm.
Also, no
Uh,
regrets because I didn't go to my high school prom. I saw No Doubt that night.
oh, you suck.
And to this day, no regrets.
Nor should there be, man. That's fucking awesome. I can't believe you hit up Lincoln or No Doubt on the night of your prom. That's amazing. That's
Yeah, people are like,
fabulous.
well, it was fun. I was like, No Doubt was fucking mind blowing.
I bet. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. That's amazing. Absolutely. Okay. Um, I don't know. I don't know that this counts as feeling free, but it's more like being accepted for myself, if that makes sense. Um, and there, I mean, that's why I gave you all that context, right? Otherwise, it's like, why the hell did you tell me all that shit, right? Um, so I remember, I had been married when I was in my like mid 20s, whatever, and for a multitude of reasons, I left and I lived in Center City, Philadelphia, in the Rittenhouse area for several years. And I dated a lot, right? And there was a lot of like new self discovery, right? Um, and it wasn't that I didn't accept myself. It was more like rediscovering those aspects of myself that I had kind of suppressed while I was married because I knew that my then husband and his family would not accept it. And it would just turn into a thing, if that makes sense. So it was, excuse me, woo, see, wine. So it was accepting the full self. And I was like dating a lot and like seeing a bunch of different people. And I remember uh my now husband and I, like, we were just like casually texting as friends, right? Nothing else. And at the time I thought, there's no way I would ever date this guy. I mean, not for any reason other than, actually, I had no reason, right? I just knew he's a musician, he's a producer, he's a drummer. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know why, my whole life, I have been attracted to tall, creative men who were super smart. And I for some reason I dated drummers like they were going out of style. I have no explanation for this. Either a drummer or a guy who was actually had the persona, or that like they had the stage presence that they could be the lead singer, but they didn't have to be the lead singer. I actually usually
That's
never
hot.
dated. I wasn't really into like, because most lead singers are so like, well, yes, of course I'm the whatever, right? And I'm like, yeah, okay, fuck off. Like, I don't care, right? Because there are a bajillion other people who are just as talented as you, and you don't have to be a dick about it. So it's like the guy who's like super high and can not only be the lead singer, but he can like own the stage, but he doesn't behave that way. Does that, if that makes
Yeah,
sense? Okay.
that's super hot.
Right? Totally. So those are the guys I usually like when I was up until my last marriage, my current marriage. I'm like, how do I put that? Anyway, um that's typically the kind of guy that I tended to be attracted to. So anyway, so I don't know, for whatever reason I was like, Yeah, okay, well, we'll be friends, it's all good. So, we the first time we hung out was at this, like, little tiny coffee shop, and, oh my god, Teehee, the first time I saw him, I, like, wet my pants. I'm like, "Jesus fucking Christ, you are so goddamn gorgeous." Like, "And you're speaking to me? Like, is this possible that you're speaking to me?" Now this is like my inside voice. This is not my outside voice, right? My outside voice is like, "Hi, it's so nice to finally hang out with you. Yes. What kind of latte would you like? Yeah, let's just go grab a table, whatever." And so those who don't know, so my husband is so yes, he's African American and part Native American as well. Um he is a musician and a producer, but we also both had very similar life experiences. So he grew up in a an area of Philadelphia that was kind of like, I guess, like half and half, if that makes sense. But I went to a Quaker high school. He went to Quaker school all the way up until high school, and then he kind of insisted that he go to public school. By the way, that's really common in among kids who go to basically college preparatory schools. Either,
Mhm.
they go through up until they get to high school, and then they're like, "All right, I want some normal,"
Yeah,
right? Like, I want some normal reality. Or they start in high school, and then, they experience what that, I mean, you could almost call it like a level up from your parents' perspective, right?
yeah,
Because there's like what normal school gives you, and then like a place like a friend's school, like they're leveling you up so that in theory no university would ever decline you, right?
yeah.
Because you're bringing all of it. That's basically it. So anyway, so we sit down and we basically close the place. Actually, no, we closed the place where they gave us this huge bag of pastries that they didn't sell that day. And like I just look at his name, my husband's name's Bobby. So I look at Bobby and I'm like, "Well, okay." And he's like, "Okay." And we're walking down the street, and there's a few homeless people who clearly are newly homeless. And unless you observe homeless people, you may not know what I'm talking about. Like, but there's people who, like, based on
Yeah,
the way they're dressed and their skin, like they haven't been hyper exposed to the elements, right? And so on. You can tell that they probably they're just having a slightly rough time versus this is their like norm, right?
hmm,
And so anyway, so we were about to walk by, and I looked at my at Bobby, and I took the bag and I handed it to the homeless people, and he just looked at me like, "Yes, that's right." You know? And there was something in our interaction that we so understood each other at such a level, at that like there are experiences that we both had that unless you were put into situations where you were, I mean, now in retrospect, like the other, or like you were forced to represent not only normal society, but you also were representing whatever society you were originating from, you're not going to understand at all our perspectives. And I mean, we talked for like 5 hours straight. I mean, like it
yeah.
was insane. And we've been like and that it's like when you find your best friend, and you first sit down and talk to your best friend, and you realize, oh my god, we just spent the entire day together, and we like totally hung out, and it's as if I've known you my entire life. That was the experience the first time we hung out.
And the time goes by really quick, and you're like, it's been 5 hours? Like,
Yeah, yeah. And there was
yeah,
no, it wasn't like, this like sexual um we weren't like flirting with each other or anything. We were just actually honestly having like these intellectual conversations and, discussions on society and the world and, various perspectives and, things that, again, like, I think for both of us, because our experiences are so relatively unique, because most people, I think, probably stay within their immediate culture, right? Like they don't
Yes.
actually branch out. And if they do, they get so freaked out that they're like, "Oh, I'm going home. Screw you people." Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so to find that was like, "Oh my god." And so I mean, we just like we literally I think hung out like every single day ever since then. So,
Hell yeah. That's super sweet too. I've never been married because I don't think I've ever found somebody like that.
yeah, but love bug, I mean, your experiences are so unique because you have broached a variety of cultures and societies and found your way to navigate through them. I mean, you would have to find it would be so hard to find someone who would like
Had
get
a
that.
similar life path. Yeah.
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 I
Yep.
mean, I don't know, have you ever found anybody that you were like, um, at minimally like listened and
So
like
actually,
really heard?
which is really
Sorry.
funny. Recently, I was at my favorite bar in Puerto Vallarta, and this guy who I had seen around town but have never really talked to, he
We're
sat
going
down.
there. I'm just
Yes,
telling you, and we're taking
yes,
pictures. Okay.
yes, yes.
Thank you.
He sat down, we started talking, and like I won't say his name, and you probably won't see this, but
It's
he's a
fine.
flight attendant, but he's also like really heavily in the union, the flight attendants union,
Oh,
and like
okay.
is also was like going to school or like going to go back to school to study labor history. And I was like,
Oh,
oh, I've done a lot of activism that was funded by labor unions. So I know all this. We're like geeking out about labor unions. And
interesting.
then we started geeking out about gay history, which is another topic that I love.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, wow, like we're actually like really, really compatible. And like, as a flight attendant, like he had the place that he grew up, which I can't remember where, but he's
Mhm.
kind of like been all over the country. And also because of his career, like when he has periods of time off, he like goes to other parts of the world. So
Oh,
like
uh-huh.
we're both like very well traveled. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is all kind of like lining. And I was like, I was getting really close to being like, because we ended up
Hey.
we left that bar, went to a different bar,
Mhm.
and like talking and having a great time. And I was like, wow, like I really and he was a handsome, like okay to look at guy. Like I wasn't like, oh, like I'm super like into him, but I was like, I really love our conversation. I really like his personality.
Oh, love
Um,
that. I mean, that's huge
yeah,
though, right?
yeah. And then like one of his like former fling people comes by, and I guess he still
Mhm.
had feelings for that guy, and then they
Mhm.
like paired off.
Oh,
It went
got
off,
it.
and I was like, "Oh, goodbye. Goodbye, potential
Aw.
boyfriend. That was nice."
Aw, that sucks. But
I'm not mad about it.
you may see him again. Who knows?
I have seen him twice since then. We just waved
Really?
hello.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm like, "Hi, I
Like,
remember
dude,
you."
you have no idea what you just missed.
Mhm. It's like, "I'm a catch, but whatever. It's all
Right,
cool."
exactly. Like, I'm 100, I'm 110. It's all your
And
own loss, motherfucker.
I'm like, I'm also not stressed about it. I was like, wow, that was a great connection. And then it just,
Yeah,
and then like, I'm like, all right, well, I didn't lose anything. If anything, I
right.
gained like a fun night and a good conversation.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah. But I have actually been making some like intentions and trying to manifest that I want to start dating again,
Mm.
which is weird.
But why it's funny, like, when I started, like, I wasn't looking for a boyfriend or anything. Like, I was just kinda like, "You know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna have casual sex whenever I want." Which anyone who's watching is going, "Oh my god!" she's got PTSD or some shit. I don't know, whatever. Um, she has
I get
AIDS. Like,
it.
I'm like, I have none of the above, so bite me. Um, but I was just kind of like, you know what, fuck it. I'm good with like I was more into the like I love me and I know I'm a good person and I just want to make sure that I continue being a good person and I continue being true to those things that I believe in and that I hold myself accountable for those things. So at that point, like I was just kind of like, I don't care if I had no intention of ever getting married again. And I really had no intention of having a serious boyfriend again. I was just like, yo, I'm good. I've got an amazing life, right? I do like amazing things. I know incredible people. I'm blessed to know some and be dear friends with and people whom I call my personal family, tons and tons of individuals. So I'm not tied to our societal demand that we have a long-term significant other, right? Like,
Yeah. I like if I truly look down deep in my heart, like I don't think that I would ever get married. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm
yeah,
like the likelihood seems low. But for
yeah.
like the last couple of months, because I was in this like dating situationship that went south, which is a story for another time.
Okay,
I was
all good.
like, absolutely no dating, no dating. And now I'm like, okay, that time has come to an end. Like
Okay.
I'm willing and open and ever since I made this decision, I've been having interesting conversations with people that I would not normally like even try to
Consider.
broach. Yeah, because I think this is a thing about being othered at a young age. And once you
Mm,
identify as other,
mm.
like you kind of like pre- prescriptively screen people
Yeah.
where you're like, I don't think we're gonna vibe. So I'm just gonna like disengage from conversation, shut everything down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like based on like really subtle clues. So like yesterday I had a really great conversation with this dude. And
Mhm.
like I don't think it was sexual. I don't think he's interested in me. Um a friend of mine in high school told me this, which was like, if you can't imagine being intimate with someone within the first 30 seconds of meeting them, you actually aren't attracted to them at all. And
I actually don't agree with that because some
no,
of the hottest sex and the deepest connection I've ever felt has been with individuals that we met on a non-sexual basis. And I mean, in some cases, it was like years and years and years later where we had known each other again for years and years and years and years. And um, for whatever reason, not even suddenly, it was like this subtle engagement.
a build up over time. I love that shit.
Totally. I mean, and those have been my most meaningful and in-depth relationships.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, and I was saying this in the sense that sometimes I can get the vibe that someone looks at me and they're just like, no, not my type. And like I see that and I'm like,
yeah, you totally
okay.
can. Yeah, yeah,
And then I'll just like squash
fuck
everything
it.
on my side too. So it's like, let's not like, shit ourselves. Like you
Yeah.
obviously are like not, I would never be your type. And like probably that's for a reason because you're also probably not my type.
Right,
Like
right, right.
actually it's basically a lot of like preppy-ish white guys. And I'm just kind of like, no. And
Uh,
they look at me and they're like, who's that? And I'm like, yep, we're not
it's
our
not gonna
flavors
work.
human flicks.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
all good. It's not gonna work. Get out.
But I had a great conversation with the guy who fit that description yesterday. And I was like, oh, wow, like being open and like actually giving people a shot. What a concept.
That's hilarious. Oh my god.
um, so have you ever been to Texas?
only I'll be honest, I think only, like, as a layover.
Oh, because that was the other Juneteenth prompt is a story about. I don't have a story about Texas. I lived there for 3 years.
Mm.
Um, talk
Oh,
about being
what you got?
angry.
You just thought of
Here's the
something.
story.
Alright,
Oh
go.
my God. So I used to grow my hair out when I lived in Texas. I grew my hair out to about shoulder length.
Oh, nice.
And I have really curly hair. And it has these like nice, perfect little ringlets once it gets longer. And then they start
Ooh.
to like fall. And it was like really nice. Learning how to like grow your hair when you have like curly hair is like its own
Oh, that's a
challenge.
whole thing. Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And because like growing up as like a boy, my hair was usually short, right? And like my mom would like teach my sisters how to take care of their hair. But like with me and my brother, like we just got haircuts. So I didn't know any of this stuff. So I'm like calling my mom, my
Ah.
sisters, like I'm trying to do all the blah, blah, blah. So, but I had really beautiful curls. I'm in
Mhm.
Austin, Texas. I'm at this bar called the Iron Bear. I'm outside on the patio smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to somebody. I was totally insufferable at this point in my life because if anyone brought up my hair, I wanted to have a full hour long conversation because it was like a movie that only I was watching or like a TV show that only happened to me.
Who
And
cares?
like no one else knows. So I'm like, oh my God, my hair did the weirdest thing yesterday. And like, I could hear myself. I knew I was annoying people. I knew it was just going straight over people's heads, but I couldn't help it. So I
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
really like primed around my hair. So I'm
Yeah.
smoking a cigarette, and this guy comes up, this white guy, and he's like, "Your hair is really curly. These curls, they kind of look like a spring." And I'm about to engage him and be like, "Well, actually, let's talk about my hair." But he grabs a tendril, pulls it all the way out, lets it go, and it snaps back. And he goes, and then slaps me across my face.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And I was like, did you just fucking touch my hair without asking and then slap me? And like, I got real angry. Like, you could hear it in I never get angry.
Yeah, yeah,
But
no, you don't. Mm-mm. That's not
yeah,
your thing.
it's not my thing. It very few times in my life have I gotten very angry. And this was one of them.
Wow.
Because it was totally unwarranted. Who does that? Like, anyway,
Oh my
so I got
god.
like really, really hot and really, really bad, like quickly. And this
Yeah.
guy jumped over the enclosed fence of the patio, jumped over it, ran into traffic across the street, and then ran away because he was afraid of me. Because I was like, did you seriously just touch my fucking hair and then slap
Holy
me?
shit.
Like, yeah.
Holy shit. Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
god, Teehee.
It was nuts. It happened so quickly. And like there were so many people around. Like the slap happened and everybody goes quiet.
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
I just start going into like Hulk rage mode and he just like bolts. Um
'Cause he's like, "Oh my god,
he's like, oh my God, I created a monster. I was like, yes, you did.
oh my god." You're like, "Bring it. Bring it, motherfucker. That's it."
One of us is going to jail tonight.
That's awesome.
But what he forgot is that he forgot that he left his credit card at the bar to run a tab.
Oh my
So he
god.
just bolted out of sheer fear. And then
Yeah.
the employees of the bar come up to me because they saw this and they were like, we're really sorry. Like,
Yeah.
like we don't
Whoops.
think that guy's a regular, but like that should not happen to anyone. And like you didn't touch him or do anything to him. He just went up to you, grabbed your hair, and then slapped you. And they were
Yeah,
like, but
yeah.
also his credit card is still at the bar. So, like, if you want to continue drinking, we'll close your tab out.
Oh my god, I love them. I love them. I love them.
And I was like, why? Yes, I will close my tab out
You're
and
right.
start
Yep.
drinking liquor instead of beer.
And exactly right. Like I'm going for the good shit. Like
Yep.
he has no idea.
Exactly. We'll find out tomorrow. Cause like, and that dude, he never came back. I stayed for hours because I was like, let's see if this motherfucker comes back. because
Yeah,
now
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not angry, but
Yeah.
like would really have a very interesting conversation about like why you don't touch other people's hair, which is
A weird conversation, like, that's like common sense, right?
it's it's like something you tell a 3 or a 4-year-old, like,
Yeah.
don't touch people's hair. But some people don't get that message.
Mm. Mm, I
I
guess, but
don't
I
know.
now admittedly, and this is not in Texas, right? So I mean, you can't really tell from this video, but I have long, like right above my tushy, red hair, and like all my life, I've either had it like super long or have had it like pixie short, right? I don't, for whatever reason, I don't really like it in
Medium.
between. Yeah, I don't know. But because I guess red hair is so unique, people love to walk up to me and be like, "Oh my God, I love your hair." And like depending on how you do it, like there's like recently I was at a party at a dear friend's house and a woman who was clearly high, which is all good. I mean, my hair was out, like it wasn't in a ponytail. And she was just like, "Oh my God, I love your hair. There's so many, I love how it sparkles or whatever." Yeah, because I'm in Twilight, whatever. But blah, 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 right. And I'm just like, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you." And then that's so kind of you and all that. Cause I whatever. But to your point, right? Then there's people who walk up to you and it's like creepy, right? Where you're like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And you've got to figure out, like, how do I navigate this? Because there is something going on in this person's head that is not making any kind of sense.
And you can like tell the difference between like good-hearted, good-natured curiosity or
Mm-hmm.
appreciation and
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's just rude, right? Like,
Or like slightly cray. Like there's
yeah.
something going on in the back of their heads. Like maybe
Mhm.
they drank too much, maybe they had too much whatever, right? And so they're not entirely on this planet, but they start saying stuff that you're like, "Okay, I know somewhere in there this isn't right."
Yeah. And you know what's interesting too with like hair, because like recently I've gotten a lot of compliments on my beard. No one tries to touch a person's beard.
Oh,
But when I
that's
had
interesting.
long hair, people were always trying to touch my hair.
Well, your beard is fabulous. It is fascinating though that no one goes to touch it though. Like,
Nobody does.
huh.
Nobody does. It's yeah. I have always asked permission. Like the last time I was in Long Beach, I was at this gay bar, and
Yeah,
there's a couple of dudes with really long beards. Like I've always wanted to have a long beard, so that's what I'm doing. This is my stage in life. Um,
totally.
but I would see for years before that, I would see people who had like long beards, and I was like, oh my God, I want that. Can I do that? And then I would be like, can I touch your beard just to see what it feels like? Totally different than what my beard feels like. Most people's beards have one curl pattern or one
Oh,
pattern.
interesting.
My beard has like 5 curl patterns.
That's like my hair. Like I have super straight is like the first layer, and then it gets curlier as it goes to like the under curl,
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. It's
I know
nuts.
it's crazy.
My
All
barber, it
right.
takes him like 40 minutes to trim my beard.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And it's like multiple instruments, and like I need like the hot towel over it to like open the pores. Like it is a whole production just to
It
trim it.
although it sounds like it also sounds kind of like relaxing and fabulous, but
I fall asleep all the
right.
time.
Right? Totally. All right. I want to talk about our upcoming writers at a getaway. What do we want to call this?
We called it a writer's intensive weekend on Eventbrite. but
Okay.
it's basically a writer's retreat. Like a people, I had a couple of people ask me like, "What is a writer's intensive?" And I was like, "It's a retreat. It's a writer's retreat."
It's totally a retreat.
Yeah, but it's 2024. We're sounding new and different.
So it's like me, Teehee, and Cody Cisco.
Yep,
3 days, right?
yep. 4 days, three
4 days.
nights
Oh, sorry.
in Puerto
Mhm.
Vallarta.
In Puerto
Um,
Vallarta at this like schmoozy, amazing like spa hotel.
it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
I totally forgot the dates. Ah, I got a new phone when I went to the United States, so I don't have any history on here.
It's
But the
okay.
dates are in October.
It's in October and we are going to be so guys, you're going to have to go and submit to us your potential manuscripts.
Yep,
How many
20
pages?
pages.
20 pages. So we're going to go through the 20 pages and we're going to pick 15 total. So
Yep,
5 per person
yep.
that we
Per
will
me,
then
per Lisa, per Cody. Yep,
exactly that will then come with us to Puerto Vallarta and we will actually do a review and analysis of your 20 pages. And do we want to make them available to everybody who's in that workshop, or is it just
yeah.
the
I was thinking we can have a workshop where we everybody reads each other's pages and offer some feedback, but then
Mhm.
also finding time throughout that weekend for us to meet individually with each of the five to talk
Okay.
about like here's where this book seems like it's going, like here's some advice and stuff like that.
Well, I think we definitely want to do the one-on-ones.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yes.
what we're going to also do is spend some time doing so Teehee, Cody, and myself will each take an opportunity to do some kind of workshop on some element of craft that we
Yep.
feel as though like when we review everyone's pieces would be the most relevant to those who are actually at the retreat.
That's great. Yeah. I was thinking because like in the way that I was structuring it, that's like our seminar because there's 3 nights.
Mhm.
So like each evening or each afternoon, because we're gonna spend the evenings in Puerto Vallarta having fun.
That's right.
But
Damn straight.
each afternoon we will do like a seminar, and I love this that it's informed by what we're getting in our group. I like had loose ideas about what I would want to do, but I think it would be helpful to narrow it down based on what I've read from people.
Yes, exactly. No, I think in that way it's the most relevant to those who are actually in attendance.
Yep.
That
Yep.
was the my thought behind that. So
And
guys, if you now I have to look up our Eventbrite. Keep talking.
yeah,
Hold on.
yeah. So also, so Lisa Kastner is CEO, founder of Running Wild Press and Rise. So this is a great opportunity to get her eyes on your work, right? Like this, it's a little bit unheard of, I think, out there to like have like, an independent press that is like, pretty competitive in the market. To have somebody of that caliber look at your work is kind of amazing. Like, I wish that somebody had done that earlier in my career. Cody Cisco is also an editor. He's the director of acquisitions at Running Wild Press. So this is also an important, amazing person to have in front of your work. Like, these are the people who decide what gets published through Running Wild Press. So
Well,
it's
and
an
don't discredit you
yeah,
because guys, so Teehee actually had a short story collection that was named one of the best of the year by Kirkus Reviews. So you're getting the top tier caliber of editors and authors reviewing your work and can
yeah.
help guide you. Because I think there's one thing about, sorry, I'm also logging into our Eventbrite so I can see. Um, uh, what you also need to understand is, and I think a lot of people don't understand, is that um, in publishing, especially, well, in storytelling in general, there are actually a lot of subsets, and you really need to decide what are your goals, right? What do you want to accomplish in the activities that you're performing, and what will
Mhm.
get you there? Because, there are tons of people, they may be like amazing poets and they're like, I'm going to be a billionaire. Well, love bug, you're not going to be a billionaire being a poet, right? Same thing with literary, same thing with actually like romance, because from what I'm hearing, romance now is doing this nosedive. Not nearly as popular as it used to be.
Yeah, it's oversaturated.
Agreed. And so it's things like that. So having people who are in the industry who are not necessarily with a large scale publishing house and can give you the perspective across a multiple uh not just publishing houses, so like indie,
Mhm.
mid-size, large, but also multiple I call it formats, but what it all that really means is we've all had exposure across like TV, film, short story, long form. Long form just means it could be a memoir, some type of creative nonfiction, a novel, novella, audiobook. I mean, you name it, right? So we've all had these exposures, and we can give you insights and guidance on how to move forward on what you want to accomplish,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know if that was helpful,
Yeah,
but
that is
yeah.
super helpful. So yeah, this is going to be in October. The application window is open. I will also be reposting it on my socials. And then I think Lisa and Cody will as well, and like Running Wild Press, their official socials and whatnot, so you can see it and get it. It's a $20 application fee, or no, $25 because Eventbrite takes cuts.
Oh,
So
right.
it's
Yeah.
$25 with 20 pages of your material. We're not doing poetry. We're doing creative. We're doing fiction and nonfiction. Um, I guess maybe this is, I haven't decided, but somebody off the bat was like, what about screenplays? And I was like, I don't
I
know.
mean, honestly, I could do screenplays because I'm trained on screenplays. Yeah, I could do screenplays. That's fine.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I was thinking mostly too, this is like a great opportunity. If you're looking for a publisher for a home, like this is a great opportunity for you. So I'm like, Running Wild Press doesn't publish screenplays, but Lisa has a lot of background in the industry. So like, yeah. But mostly I was thinking like fiction, nonfiction, things that like Running Wild Press might actually want to publish. So it's a great opportunity. It's I don't have the windows open in front of me, but it's under $1,000
Hmm.
for the weekend, 4 days, 3 nights, and you
Hmm.
have to cover your own airfare. But as soon as we pick you up from the airport, we got you. Also, Puerto Vallarta is beautiful and amazing. Sunsets are to die for.
And we're hilarious.
And we're a fun, hilarious bunch. And Puerto Vallarta is a very much a party town. If you want to party, the way we have scheduled this is like you will be done in time for happy hour everywhere in town. So
Totally. Totally.
totally. So if you've made it this far, apply to the writers intensive weekend writers retreat. Um, and I will continue to plug this. We'll plug this a lot. And I'm super excited for it. And also, summer is just starting, but that means that fall is right around the corner. So don't waste time. If this is something you're interested in, apply now.
And I'm looking up the URL. So you guys can just like go right to it and
Yeah. I
and
wonder if
check it
I
out.
get it. I might
Did
have it.
we set it up so they could like specify who they want to work with? Or
No, but there's ways that we can do that, which is basically me just following up with people.
oh, okay. That's fine. All good.
Yeah. Yeah, it will work. I think I have the URL saved in drafts somewhere.
if you have
Okay.
it, like let's add it to the chat so folks can like if they're interested or if they know anybody who's interested, they can like totally check it out.
Yep. I found it.
Oh,
Yep. As a Virgo person, I tend to be pretty organized in my email.
nice. I'm a Scorpio, so I just tend to be passionate about everything, whether you know it or not. Just because I'm not sitting here going, ah, does not mean I'm not passionate about it, just so you know.
Yep. I'm
Um,
actually a zero inboxer.
ooh, I found it. Okay.
Okay,
Here.
cool. Because it's not letting me join the chat because of YouTube synchronization things. I'm like,
Oh
I
my.
used to work in digital privacy rights, so I'm like really nitpicky about how all these different companies get my data and relate to each other.
Oh, got it. But yeah, guys, I mean, totally submit your 20 pages, even if you're kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to like it. No, 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 no. You would be shocked. The pieces that have been the most successful for us and have gotten the most acclaim and the most acknowledgement have been works that our editors said, okay, I know this isn't quite done, but that's the whole purpose of the editor and the author relationship is
Exactly.
to work together and to make it all that it can be. And so send it. Send. Um and also I tend to be the nerd that if you send us something and we don't pick it for the retreat, but I think, you know, it has potential, I might make suggestions for you and suggest that you then submit us the manuscript to Running Wild or Rise, meaning us being to the publishing house, not to the
Mhm.
retreat.
Yeah.
So seriously, you've got so many opportunities available to you. Don't miss out on this. This is really a great opportunity.
Yeah, and we really want to like grow the community, not just of like other authors in general who've been published, but like, kind of create that pipeline, like a way to get in, a way to get your work looked at. Um, and it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be super dope. Please do it every time, every hour that somebody doesn't apply. I grow a gray hair in my beard. I shouldn't say that because people have been wanting me to go salt and pepper for a while.
Aw. Well, you
Never.
would be hot with salt and pepper. I'm just saying.
When I turn into a silver fox, it's over for these
Oh,
bitches.
seriously. Oh my
Like,
god. Man, when you become a silver fox, oh my god, that's gonna be it. Like, we will never see you again because your tushy's gonna be all over other locations. Let's just put it that
yep,
way.
I'm gonna be
Mhm.
knee deep in things and places.
Oh, hells yeah. And I would not blame you. I would not blame you. Nopes, nopes, nopes.
I have known this about myself since I was a small kid. Because, like, I mean, like, I've always thought I was attractive. The world has not always reaffirmed that I was attractive,
Well,
but
they
I
can
always
check
thought I
it.
did. Yeah, and I'm like, well, screw it. But then I would like look at myself in the mirror and I'm like trying to imagine what I look like when I get older, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna be really handsome. And like as the years go by, my face ages and whatnot, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on this trajectory. Like nothing
Yeah,
has
yeah.
surprised me yet.
Yeah. No, no, no. I feel that totally.
When it's salt and pepper, it's also gonna be good. But then when it goes full gray,
It'll be game over. Oh yeah.
over, game over.
Game
Don't say you
over.
knew me when. No, I'm just kidding.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I think we're a little over, which is all good because, as always, we have an amazing time. But, guys, definitely go check out the Eventbrite and then sign up. And as I said, like, even if you don't get picked to be a part of the actual retreat, know that you just had your piece reviewed minimally by me and potentially by multiple editors of Running Wild and Rise. And we will provide, if we think it's something that you need to pursue, we'll let you know. and we'll
Yeah.
tell you, hey, excuse me, do blah, 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 or consider doing this, this, and this, and
Hmm.
then submitting to us, right? And again, you don't have to submit it to us. We may give you feedback and you may turn around and say, well, I don't like them. I like whatever. Send it to them. It's all good, right? But we're
Yeah.
basically giving you guys. I mean, we've had books that were named not just best of the year, I mean, won tons of awards, just incredible acclaim. Why miss out on this opportunity? Like,
Yeah.
seriously, go for it. Do it, man.
And
This
you miss
is for
100% of the shots you don't take.
that's right. 100%. 100%. All right, guys. So with that, I'm jetting. All right,
Yep.
love everybody. Love you, Teehee. And we
Love
will
you
see you
all.
guys. If I don't see you tomorrow at the Ask Us Anything, we will see you next time, the next Storytellers Happy Hour. So,
Yep.
all right. Love you
Happy
guys.
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth. Woo!